back to another video about the goddess, the Morrigan. I hope you enjoyed last week's video. If you haven't seen it, probably check that one out first. The links will be below. And thank you for your feedback and for sharing it and for watching the last video about the Morrigan, where I just threw myself in the deep end really, as I'm doing a bit today. The last video was just me getting into this beautiful, amazing, wonderful topic of the goddess that I love. I read a quote earlier on and it said, what was it, listening to someone, they said, you know, you can be devoted and you can love lots of goddesses, and then there's the Morrigan. And that's kind of how it is with me. There's lots of other goddesses and gods that I adore, work with, enjoy, feel very passionate about, and then there's the Morrigan, which just takes things one step further really. So today, with this video on the Morrigan, as the title suggests, this is about the Morrigan, the lover, and sex. And I knew, as soon as I'd finished last week's video, I knew this was the first area she wanted me to look at, to be the first video really about the different guises and ways of seeing the Morrigan, and the different ways we can relate to her and work with her. So it's interesting on a personal level because I found this out, well, she made that clear last week, this is what she wanted, and over the weekend I did a workshop, a lovely workshop with the goddess Bridget Friday, and that was linked to the lover aspect of the goddess. And I think that even though they are different goddesses, they do weave together quite well in some ways, in some respects. And that workshop brought up a lot of my stuff and really needed to be done before I did this video really. Needed to look at the lover aspect of the goddess and look at how you feel about yourself and how you respect and love yourself before I was talking about this video. So yes, the Morrigan, lover and a goddess of sex. It's something you'll read about her if you read a generic write-up. The Morrigan, goddess of battle, death and sex. And you might think, well, that sounds very painful. Maybe we'd want to try that. It's very Scorpio, sex and death. Why are they linked? Why are they entwined so? There's lots of different ways. I'm not going to have time to look at all that now, but that's an interesting throw together, isn't it really? That's what you'll know about the Morrigan, sex, death, battle. Though when you actually read the tales, she is, you know, when you read what's written, and again what's written is written by monks and people who are Christians, or people who are after the time when she was so revered, actually what she gets up to, not all that crazy compared to other myths around the world. You know, you could read stuff that goes in the Greeks and you think, wow, actually you don't see anything too sordid or crazy. But what she is a goddess of sexuality, a goddess of a woman that is untamed and wild in her desire and wild in her passion. And guess what? That's, over the last few hundreds years, that's not been looked on too fondly. In fact, that scared quite a lot of people, and the people that were writing the tales and writing, I think you're wafting my feather around, writing about the tales, they would not have gone, great, a woman who's in control of her sexuality, a woman who chooses what she wants to do, that sounds good. Quite the opposite. That was, for the new world order, quite an alien concept, and to be fair, we're still wrangling ourselves out of that right now, to be honest. And even though in the West we are very lucky, very, very lucky in many, many ways, it still ain't perfect, I can tell you, but on to that later. So yeah, so reading the tales, you don't see there's this kind of whatever you might expect for a goddess of sex to get up to some crazy antics. Yeah, not so much really, but she is very, she chooses her lovers. There's no kind of courting of the Morrigan. She's like, no, I want you, good. And if you don't want me, well, you're in trouble. No, not really. The only way that kind of came about, really, I'll go into that in a second, is the Morrigan Cuchulainn, the hero, the semi-divine hero. So I will go into that in a little bit about the love-hate, or kind of not quite worked out love affair of the Morrigan and Cuchulainn in just a second. But I'll just bring it back to what I was just saying. I can get very carried away and very distracted. That sex and death is something you'll hear about and you'll read about a lot with the Morrigan if you just have a little peruse over. But there's so much more depth to those words. you've kind of got, you almost think of this sort of dominatrix style figure, don't you, when you see this. Yet this is not what I find. Well, you can look at dominatrix if you like, but the energy is not what I find to be what this is really about. That's just looking at the surface. If you dig deeper, you can be quite amazed at her energy of empowering your own sexuality, empowering your own self-love, and empowering your own relationships with others in a real sovereign, strong and beautiful way. We'll go on to her death aspects and warrior aspects in other videos, but we can see that obviously death is a cycle that we don't look at in the same way their ancestors would, and that's a shame, because death would be part of a cycle of rebirth, of clearing out the old and being ready for the new. In that way, she's a fertility goddess as well. She's a goddess of the land, so you have the whole cycle of life, death and rebirth. And our ancestors would have seen the beauty of that more. They would have seen the cyclical nature of life more. So it wasn't death, that's it. You know, the Morrigan, I won't go into death too much, I want to do this in another video, never really revels in, yay, pointless death. No. That's what you'll sort of think if you read about her briefly, but no. She is there to guard and to watch and to facilitate and to initiate those things, and one life to the next, and the battlefield. Again, the stories are written by a very warfaring, the Celts, the people, the tribes that made up the Celts, they liked to war, and you had to be, you know, most people would have died in battle or of illness or, you know, out of other unfortunate circumstances, but I know I'm talking really fast, I'll try and slow down. The most people who would have worked with the Morrigan or revered her would have been warriors themselves, and would have, an honourable death was something that was honourable, you know, like the Valkyrie, I mentioned that before, and other tribes. So she was part of the honour and the process and the initiation and the transformation, the take of the souls. But this is not what I'm talking about today. Come back, Laura. Come back into what we're talking about. Talking about sex. Don't start me singing that song. I was singing it earlier. Let's talk about sex. It was in my head just when I was doing this video. I was like, please stop singing this song, Laura. If you're too young to remember it, you're lucky. So yeah, because of this primal cyclical nature of her, yes. Sex is a primal creative force, and this is what the Morrigan really, in a very large nutshell, is: a primal creative and destructive force of life, of passion, of the fire of desire and the fire of battle and the fire of transformation. So yeah, this is why we think of her more as a goddess of sex rather than from the stories. There are stories of her in her sexual nature, and I'll talk about those in just a second. But I really wanted to, when I was thinking about this video, and I've been thinking about it all day and last few days and really all week, I wanted to know what she wanted to say about this as well, not just what I was researching, what I was finding. And I did a little journey on this early on, which I will share with you. What did I write? I wrote a few notes on the journey just to kind of share with you. And I called to a lover aspect of the Morrigan. Sort of the goddess of sex, the goddess of the wildfire and passion and blood and untamed desire. And where I was taken to in this journey was a cave, very womb-like, a cave in the dark, lit by fires. That was very, and there's this woman in there, beautiful red curly hair, and she was sensuality itself. She was enchantress. She was in her and power, because she wasn't trying to. It wasn't like she was trying to do anything. She just was embodying these beautiful, powerful, sensual energies, and she was there by a cauldron. And I often see cauldrons with the Morrigan do her different aspects. Again, the cauldron being a very feminine vessel-like feature, and inside the cauldron was the kind of the golden liquid of life and rebirth, and sensuality was what I was really been shown in this meditation, and as in that journey, all my senses became heightened when I saw her in this cave. All my senses were heightened. The sense of smell, the sense of the air on my skin, the sense of vision, sound, everything. And the height of your senses is something that the lover aspect of Morrigan wants to instill in you, to be with your deep breathing and your awareness, kind of part of life and part of the flow. Is, you know, again, I can distract myself, but it's a perfect time of year for this kind of meditation because we're at Beltane month. The flowers are out. I've got the hawthorn and the elder in my garden, the buttercups and all the beautiful flowers. It's about life and beauty and enjoying the sensuality, enjoying the senses. The sun on your skin, the grass beneath you. This is very much a big part of Morrigan in her lover aspect. To, you know, far from this kind of sex and death dominatrix feeling, it's let's be part of this earth. Let's feel the pulse of the earth. Let's feel the life force and the cycles of the earth. Anyway, back to my cave, my bat cave. Yeah, so there wasn't much said in this. It was more a feeling, and it was more tides of power and sensuality which I was being shown in this journey. And one thing she said, and I did say in the I'm going to share this, she says, oh, where is it? 1 million voices crying out in pleasure and ecstasy are all acts to honour me, or all, I can't remember what I wrote, or maybe all the things, but yeah, basically it's about 1 million voices crying out in pleasure and ecstasy. All these things, there we go, my writing is more readable now. All these things are here to honour me, so, or done in honour of me. So basically, to be in contact with your pleasure and your ecstasy in a way which is totally respectful and in your power, I'll repeat all those words a zillion times, is an act of honour to her. So that was really an interesting part of this meditation, that ways of honouring her is not just, I don't know, candle, well, you know, it's more as part of the senses and more part of the being, and whatever that means to you, you can take that however you want to. The most powerful feelings you can have are sexual and love, aren't they? You know, love and battle go together. Like Aphrodite has these aspects too, Freya and other goddesses, and desire, because what would make you want to fight? You could love something so much that you'd fight for it, or you just love fighting. You know, there's all these different ways. So the wild and tamed energy of battle can be similar to the wild and tamed energy of desire and of love, and the warrior needs to work with that in a more controlled way, maybe to act in a good way and to act in a progressive way. Again, that's for you guys to meditate on. What she was showing me in the meditation is what is sex and what is the lover to you. You know, not asking her so much, but finding every time to reflect in what sex means to you and what the lover aspect means to you. So that'd be a good thing for you to meditate on as well, because that's what she was really asking, as well as showing me these things. And she's also, well, something that's been on my mind as I was thinking about this today is how the warrior and the lover combine, that to love is to be brave, you know, to open up to somebody else takes bravery, and also in acts of sex and acts of love, you are at your most vulnerable and at your most powerful combined, at your most wildest and uncivilized. It's not like a Hollywood movie where it's all kind of and then we fade to this kind of no bodily fluids and no kind of weird moments. It's just all kind of perfect. That's what people are shown, and that's just kind of, let's get out of the way. But when this is about you being at your wildest, at your most unpolite, at your most vulnerable. And isn't that to be the warrior, to kind of the lover, to open up and show your vulnerability is absolutely beautiful too. The warrior doesn't have to be a tough cookie all the time, and the warrior doesn't have to be all looking for a fight. Quite the contrary. The warrior and the lover have the ability to be strong and to be vulnerable all at the same time, and to open up to somebody else and open up to yourself. Let's forget someone else for the moment. Opening up to yourself can be the hardest thing, you know? Opening up to yourself and being honest with yourself about how you feel about you and your life, honestly, is probably one of the hardest things to do. So I think I digress. I usually do. So the power of sexuality, the vulnerability of sexuality, and the wildness and the lack of, you know, having to do the right thing or having to be thinking, you know, what is you know, the things that dull us, you know, those thoughts that dull us down, all those are out the way. It's just pure primal power, and that is definitely what she is a goddess of. And the balance, as I say, God, the balance of male and female within yourself as well, whether you're in a male-female relationship, a same-sex relationship, or if you're single and you're balancing those energies within yourself. It's all exceptionally valid. So that's one of the things. I mean, I think it's, again, what I got from the journey as well is that it would be a process of initiation to work with her, the lover aspect of the goddess here, and a process that will change you and transform you. Like, what aspect of working with Morrigan doesn't change and transform you? But that's why we're here. We're here for the ride. We're not here to sit on the couch and say, oh, whatever. We're here to transform and to be like alchemical energies. So yes, this is an interesting journey. There'll probably be more videos on this, but I haven't finished yet. I'm still plenty to talk about. So that was part of the journey. Let's have a wee look at the Morrigan as lover in the myths. I'm not going to go again into the depth of the myths. The one thing we can see, the well-known tale of the Morrigan and the Dagda, the good god, is that the Dagda, who was kind of a pre-Tuatha kind of elder, a god of plenty, he had a club that on one hand could kill and one could give life. He had plentiful bits and bobs all over the place. I'll do a video on the Dagda as well. He was a real god of, he loved food, he loved sex, he loved lots of all the good life. He was a god of life and fertility of the land. And so actually he's very well matched with the Morrigan, who's more associated with the darker aspects. And together they, people go, why would they be paired together? Well, it makes the balance, doesn't it, really? It makes for new life there needs to be death, and for death there needs to be life, and clearing for new beginnings, and they work so well together. So he was off to go and see the Fomorians, as the Dagda was, to kind of see what their situation was with battle, and the Morrigan stopped him on the way. It was near Samhain, the time of liminal time, of between the worlds. It was the old Celtic New Year, and they made love over the river, and through this act of love, the Morrigan offered to help the Dagda and to help the Tuatha De Danann win the battle. So she offered her love and her desire and her body, and she offered her help. And the Dagda was like, brilliant. He liked all these things. So there's lots of tales, and again, the Celtic myths are very intrinsically weaved. There's lots of different aspects of what happened to the Dagda after that. He had another sexual encounter soon after with another woman who was very Morrigan-like, but apparently not the Morrigan, but who knows. And it showed you that she would offer herself, offer her primal creative force, her sexual prowess, and that would be beneficial for the side that they were fighting, that he was fighting for. So she could choose to help you, or she could choose to hinder you. And she, if you accepted her and her power, then she would help you, and the Dagda was very happy about this. There's other husbands of, not the Morrigan as such. Well, there are husbands, but there's lots of different husbands. You've got, Neat is a god of war. Macha had some husbands as well. Different tales of Macha. So, and Anya, the fairy queen, who's sometimes sort of an aspect of the Morrigan, had husbands too. It's really worth looking at the myths. But in all these tales, the woman, the goddess, showed up, chose her man, and said, "You, come here, mate." No, that sounds really uncensured, doesn't it? But she chose who she wanted to be with. She chose who was her lover, and depending on the situation, the guys went, "Woo, fabulous," or "No." And when they said no, kind of things got a little bit tricky. But that's life. So yes, the Dagda was offered the great good luck, and yes, Tuatha De Danann won the fight, won the battle with the help of the Morrigan. The other well-known tale is of the Morrigan Cuchulainn, the Hound of Culann, and he didn't really he was on his own path. He'd done many things in his life that showed that he wanted the glory, he wanted to do this, be the great warrior, but possibly wasn't the wisest decision. Sometimes he wasn't have a long life, he wasn't ever going to probably make old bones, have a family, settle down and sit by the fire reading his paper. Not that there were papers, but he... Part of the cattle raid of Cooley in that tale, he was on a mission, he was on a quest to sort it all out, to get it all sorted. And the Morrigan came to him as a beautiful young woman. She shifted into that form of a stunning young lady and offered to help him, like she offered the Dagda, offered to help him with his mission. And offered her sexual favours, offered her body, offered her love, her passion, in return for help. He was like, oh, I didn't come here for a woman. He was a bit ruder than that, but I'll just say it like that. I didn't come here for a woman. And then she turned into her other forms, in animal forms, and wounded him in the form of, tried to wound him, and actually she ended up getting wounded herself, and tricked him into healing her. It's very complicated. But she attacked him, in the forms of an eels, a red heifer, and also a grey wolf. In those three forms, so these are very powerful with the Morrigan, attacked him in those forms. And she got a bit injured, but she tricked him in the guise of an old woman for him to heal her with. She got some milk from him, and she was healed. So that was a tricky love relationship. She did, and contrary to the belief, I don't think she wanted him to actually die. Well, sometimes she might have done. Women can change their mind. But in the day before the battle where he died, she broke his chariot so he couldn't ride into battle because she knew he wasn't going to survive. She knew he wasn't going to make it. So, she often get called this kind of vicious goddess. No, that shows sympathy, that shows love, that shows I care about this person. I don't want... They may have been a complete idiot, but I don't want them to die. She tried. He, in his arrogance, went, woman, I'm going to fight. And that was his destiny, that was his path. So there was an interesting relationship there with sex, with love, with the fight, and not quite working out as maybe he could have done. But that's life also. So there's some of the love relationships that go on in the tales of the Morrigan. But what I would say to you in your own journey with this is to meditate with her like I did. Maybe find your own journey or follow I could put up meditation if you would like me to. I have got lots of meditations coming regarding to Morrigan, lots of journeys. Maybe go on a meditation. I'd say either go to a cave or to a river, and both kind of flowing fertility, energies really, and invoke or ask to meet the lover aspect of the Morrigan, and see what you get from this, see what you experience, what you can offer her and what she can offer you. But the first thing to know when working with the lover aspect of any goddess, and with the Morrigan particularly, this isn't just about looking pretty and going out there and finding yourself a lover. Don't know why I'm talking that voice. This is about loving yourself. And there is, as I said earlier, the hardest challenge. You can say, yeah, I like myself, I'm okay. But do you? Can you look in that mirror and say, I love you, I respect you, I know you mess up sometimes, you're human, and you try really hard, and I forgive you for all these silly things you do, and I'm here, I understand you. Can you look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I like this about myself? And guess what? That's what you're going to need to do. Morrigan work, yes. I loved the stuff I worked at the weekend was mirror work, and about looking at the self and looking yourself in the eyes and, forgiving yourself and taking care of yourself and nurturing yourself. If you're not going to look after yourself, then it's going to be very hard for a relationship to be awesome, because the hurt you're putting yourself, you in some way inflict on the other. So you're actually doing yourself an amazing favour by taking this time to do the hard work of looking yourself in that mirror and respecting, nurturing and loving yourself. And I would like you to do this, if you don't mind. I would like you to look into the mirror this week, and I'd like you to say those words, say any words, understand yourself, look into your eyes and know that you try really blooming hard, and that it's not an easy being human. We're all on a path of learning. You're not meant to be perfect. Give yourself a little bit of a break. And also look at yourself in the mirror without no clothes on, and just be kind to your body. I don't care if you're skinny or if you're voluptuous, if you're whatever age you are. Don't think about what the media is telling you is pretty. Accept that even though you may always want to change things about your body and go, I could tone that, I could blah-de-blah-de-blue. I would love you to look into that mirror and honestly be kind to yourself. Try it. It's hard sometimes, depending on the mood and the lighting and the mirror. But be kind to yourself and say some things. A minimum of 3. I'd like to go for more than that. 9 maybe. Things that you think are beautiful and are lovely about yourself, or handsome and strong for the guys out there, or just gorgeous, and just kindly appreciate yourself. And I would like you to nurture yourself and do something which is a commitment to yourself as well, because the love has got to, the love has got to shine and radiate from here. It's got to permeate through your skin to others. It's easy to project the love on other people and say, you know, I think this person's amazing. What they do is so wonderful. And I can find it easy to project on someone else and forgive them all their faults. You know, oh yeah, but I understand they've been through a hard time. Do you understand yourself? So be kind to yourself is the key. Now, I bought myself this ring as a symbol of this. I don't know if my iPhone probably won't appreciate me zooming in, but this ring was a symbol of my commitment to being nice to myself, to looking after myself, and to remember to honour myself, and that from that honouring, all of the things will be honoured and more beautiful. And that's a big thing. So for the lover aspect of the Morrigan, and if you're in a relationship or not, this is about your own sensuality, about your own beauty, about forgiving yourself, about loving yourself. You know, as you go towards the warrior aspect of the Morrigan, you know, if you've got the chinks in your armour that you don't like bits of yourself very much, that is the easiest thing for people to get to. They can just see that and go, boom. So in a way you're working this beautiful, not defences at all, but this wall of love and of beauty that doesn't need that armour, doesn't need to be defensive in that way, if that makes sense. So there are some of the things that I'd like us all to work on. I'm doing it as well. I'm working along with you, because I think there's people out there who probably look like the Hollywood or the model ideal but don't love themselves or like themselves. And I hope there's ladies out there and gentlemen out there that are, you know, in their mature years, whose bodies have got the lines of life on them, who feel beautiful and who feel sexy. So I want, you know, it doesn't matter about what you look like, it's what you feel like. And I would love us all to go on that journey and explore the lover aspect of the Morrigan and the lover aspect of ourselves and whatever goddess you work with, because that deep passion and that wild fire is going to have an outlet that's so beautiful if we've got an you know, if you're in a good place and you're respecting yourself. The power of the primal power of sex and of love with the goddess, with the Morrigan, it can be directed in a really creative and beautiful, powerful way. And when we're in a bad state, we kind of deflect it out and we kind of take it in on ourselves, and we can hurt ourselves, can't we? And we can hurt other people. So I don't know if that's what you expected when we were talking about the Morrigan, about loving yourself, but this is what she wants. You know, this is about inner transformation. You know, and this can go on the outer self as well. You can get yourself a new outfit, you can do your makeup, and that's just the boys. You can do whatever you want. You know, you can exercise well, eat right, do all this stuff, because it's going to help. You know, it's going to help you feel rah. Do whatever it takes, but it's going to the transformation, the forge, the fire that we're working with this goddess. It starts within, and this is one of the messages that I feel she wanted me to share with you. And something else, you know, I would like to read maybe again what I wrote earlier about what she said. The wild, untamed cry of a woman's ecstasy. 1 million voices crying out in pleasure and ecstasy. All these things are in my honour. And that's what she wanted to say. And that, I said, a woman, you know, because I'm a woman, you know, it can be and should be of a man too. Don't just take it as a woman just because I'm saying it from my own point of view. A man's ecstasy, a man's pleasure, just everybody's really. And to respect yourself. And, you know, one more thing I'll say, and I'm going on forever with this video, one more thing I'll say is respect your own sexuality. Don't get forced into doing anything you don't want to do. This is what she wants you to, you know, it's, I guess in the modern world, I watched this programme the other day, and it was about this guy who was saying about how many hundreds of women he slept with. He was quite young, and he was, for want of better, just sticking it in there and running off. There was nothing in it, you know. I was just like, and that was kind of, he's giving his own like big section on this TV show, and I was like, great. There's no respect for himself, and I kind of being almost psychoanalyst, thinking, you know, I wonder what he thinks about himself. Is, you know, I wonder how he validates his own self. But if that makes him happy, and he genuinely does think this is the way forward, you know, whatever makes you happy. But whatever makes you really happy is important. You know, if being with that one person that you love from school to the grave. That's very romantic. If there's one person that you want to be with, and that is your love, and there's your passion, and there's your path, then that is awesome and beautiful. If there's a few people of your life that you have these great relationships with, that is, if you want to have 6 lovers at once, that is, as long as you are good with this, and everybody else is good with this as well, then fine. Just make sure that whatever you do is coming from a place of power, not a place of low self-esteem, and that it's coming from a place of respect for your body, for your soul, and for the other people around you. And enjoy, because these are acts of pleasure, ecstasy, love, and passion, and it's the creative force of life. Again, no matter what stage, if you're in the maiden, the mother, or the crone stage of your life, this fire that comes in from this aspect of the goddess isn't, oh, I'm still going on, aren't I? Isn't just about sex. It's about your creativity. It's about your art, your music, your voice. So what comes in is this cauldron of fire can create this beautiful creative force around you. So, you know, life can dollars, paying your bills, dealing with all these grey things that just make us flat, you know, can take away that. But working with the lover, sex goddess aspect of the Morrigan can ignite that fire, can ignite that flame, can ignite that passion to create, to be your most awesome and honest sovereign self. So, you know, it's not just about getting jiggy with it. It's about your own creative force in any way. And the lover aspect of the Morrigan and the sexual chemistry aspect of the Morrigan can really reignite those sparks. So if you've got a creative block, if you're feeling flat and you just can't get moving, there's another way to work with this goddess, because that fire is so powerful that it's been feared for lots of years, but it can, when channeled in a positive light, can create new life, whether that be a baby, whether that be a painting, a book, whatever it is that you want to create. So I know, as always, I have gone on and I've flown about the different, like a raven in a storm. I've flown about the different aspects of the Morrigan and sexuality. I know it's not a linear passage that I've gone through with this, but I hope that it's been insightful. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope something that's come out of this is something for you all to work on, because it's something that I'm working on as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back with another Morrigan video and other videos coming soon. I'm taking all your requests on board and your questions. I know there's meditations you want to hear and journeys, so we'll be doing that as well. Why not? Enjoy. Thank you so much.